Good afternoon and welcome to UL Trades. My name is David Whiteley and this is Mindset Matters, where I bring to you little snippets and bits of information to assist you with your trading mindset so that you can become the profitable trader that you want to be. So yesterday I talked about the fundamental truth number one as it relates to eliminating emotional risk, as outlined in the book, Trading in the Zone. There it is. By Mark Douglas, definitely a classic and something you should be reading. So yesterday we talked about how anything can happen. That's one of the things you have to train yourself to understand and to believe. When you get into a trade, anything can happen. Number two, to eliminate that emotional risk that we feel as we're in a trade that affects not only how we respond while we're in a trade, but it can also affect how we see things. Sometimes, we can oftentimes see things that aren't there. We misread things if we're, stressed. So we need to eliminate that stress. So number two, you don't need to know what is going to happen next in order to make money. So if we go into a trade, and kind of talked about this yesterday, whenever we enter a trade, it's because we believe that it's going to do something, right? I mean, fundamentally, we see the trigger, which is our edge, which tells us that we should get in. And the only reason to do that is because there's the potential for it to go in our favor, all right? So we've already trained ourselves that anything could happen, which means it could go in our favor, it could go against us, it could take its time getting there, it could pull back a little bit before it gets there. Anything could happen, so nothing surprises us. All right, then number two here, you don't need to know what's going to happen next. Okay, so nothing is going to surprise us. And it's also important to understand that, we're not fortune tellers, right, as we trade. This is like a super difficult thing for me, especially because, like most people, I like to be right. I don't like to be wrong. And you always get that feeling like you're wrong when you enter a trade that doesn't work out, or that works out, not as good. You thought, oh, maybe I picked a bad entry, all right? Well, that's not really the right question to ask. The only question to ask is, did I enter based on my strategy? If I enter based on my strategy, and I manage the trade according to my strategy, then that's all that matters, because the market is going to do whatever the market's going to do. I don't know what's going to happen next, and I don't have to be a fortune teller in order to make money. In other words, moment by moment, as we're looking at the market, we don't have to be able to forecast the next thing, okay? And this was something I did a lot, especially in the beginning, was I was always trying to say, okay, what's going to happen next? I see this pattern forming, so I think it's going to do this next. And there's that desire to want to know. There's comfort in knowing. There's, it's uncomfortable not knowing, but that's something we have to accept as traders, is that we don't know what's going to happen next, and we don't have to know what's going to happen next. It's an exercise in probabilities. All right, we have a strategy. Presumably that strategy has been tested and shown that over a certain number, over 100 trades, some percentage of those end up positive, end up making money, and they end up positive enough that they overcome whatever small losses resulted from the ones that didn't work out favorably. And so getting into a trade with no stress can only happen, I think, if that's the mindset that you go in with, that I'm just executing my strategy, and whatever happens, happens. I'm going to manage the trade according to my strategy. I entered the trade according to my strategy. That's my job. That's it. Now, just like yesterday, it's easier said than done. It's something very hard to do, but it's something that as you develop, and again, I'm in the beginning stages here. I've got a lot of development to do myself, but even myself, from where I started to where I am now, I've noticed that when I'm in a state of mind where I really have accepted those things, trading those days is a lot easier and it's a lot more stress-free. And that's where we want to get to, right? We want to be able to trade as stress-free as possible, okay? So there you have it. Number 2 on the list. So again, number 1, anything can happen. Number 2, you don't need to know what's going to happen next in order to make money. So even if it doesn't go in your favor, that's okay. You can still make money in the market. All right, just follow your plan. So that's what I've got for you today. Again, if you appreciate this content, the best way to help us out is to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that we can reach more people. If you have questions or thoughts or comments related to this topic or any other that is trading related, be sure and leave those comments below. We read all the comments and we'd love to get that feedback and answer any questions that might be out there. So trade safe, trade your plan, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.